Welcome to the Nick Blevins Family Ministry Podcast. Our goal is to help you maximize your church's potential. You'll hear from top leaders in children's, student, and family ministry about the principles and practices they use. Now here's your host, Nick Blevins.
Hey everyone, welcome to episode 148 of the podcast. In this episode, I talk with Ryan Frank, and we catch up and talk about Kidmin Nation, MegaCon, trends in children's ministry, how to maximize summer, and how to stay productive. Ryan does a lot, has his hand in a lot of different areas, working on many things every week, kind of like children's ministry or any ministry for that matter. And so we talk about how does he stay productive? What are some like 2 or 3 key tips that he uses to stay productive? So you'll love that regardless of whether or not you serve in children's ministry. But the trends he's seeing I thought were interesting. How to maximize summer, probably not something you always think about. And I'll share with you how you can get some summer team stuff that we use, like how we recruit volunteers in the summer. We recorded a webinar a while ago about that and gave away some resources. So we'll link that in the show notes so you can get that if you want to do that with your team. But before we jump in, this is the last day actually to sign up for Ministry Boost courses for the summer and get all the bonuses. So if you're listening to this when the podcast comes out, today's the last chance to sign up for a course. Maybe you'll take a course on recruiting volunteers or implementing coaches or something like that. Or maybe it's upstaging elementary, a new course we have to help you work on, improve, implement a large group experience for elementary kids. Maybe it's launching small groups in preschool. Lots of great courses that are out there. Today's the last day to sign up and get some free bonuses, which include content for volunteer huddles. If you gather volunteers and huddle before, the service, there's content you can use to share with them to help train them. That's free. And then if you sign up by Friday, then you'll get 2 other free courses, 5 barriers to volunteer recruitment and a strategy for training your volunteers. But that's all this week before, registration closes on Friday. So if you're listening to this sometime in the future, check back. Who knows? Some courses are always open because they're on demand. Bonuses aren't always there, but they'll come up again. We launch a few times a year like this. But if you're listening to this when it comes out, jump on that for sure. We only, launch this way a few times each year and, give the bonuses and all that. And you can check it out at ministryboost.org/courses. Let's go ahead now and jump into my interview with Ryan Frank, catch up with him. What's been going on? A lot has changed, launched a whole conference since he came on the podcast. But we'll also talk about trends in children's ministry, maximizing summer, and how to stay productive. Well, it's good to have Ryan Frank back on the podcast. Welcome back, Ryan.
Hey, Nick, thanks for having me, man.
So in case anybody isn't familiar with you, tell us a little bit about yourself, though I'm sure a lot of people are familiar with you.
I met this guy named Nick Blevins once, and my life was forever changed. I
in the worst
repented of
way.
my sins. Yeah, gave my life to Christ. Have walked on the straight and narrow. Nick, man, thanks for having me. I will jump into what I'm doing, but I love your podcast and love what you're doing, just to resource and champion the Kidmin community. So thank you. Yeah, I've got a lot going on. It has been a while since I've done been on the podcast with you. We, of course, if you've not heard, we have a conference now called Kidmin Nation MegaCon. This fall will be our 3rd conference. It's really done well, Nick. It's picked up a lot of traction quick. So it's a big event we do in Nashville, Tennessee, October 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Where we are on track to have 2,000 attendees at the conference this year. We had 1,700 last year, and our ticket sales are up over last year. So cool. I'm thinking we'll hit the 2,000 mark, which we're excited about. It's a great event. I love doing stuff online. I'm all the time doing stuff online with leaders. But it's super, super fun to get face to face. So the Kids Matter magazine, Nick, is still going strong. We're 14 years in, and our subscription base is stronger than it's ever been. I don't know. People ask me all the time, like, are you going to ever not print the magazine? And might be a time. I don't know. And, if I don't know, 10 years from now. But right now, the magazine continues to do well. People are still ordering it. They are reading it. We still have a lot of ministry partners that have found value in advertising in it. So magazine is going well. We just launched class number 8 of Kidmin Academy 2 weeks ago as we're recording this podcast. So Kidmin
Wow,
Academy.
I think it was 2 or 3 last time when we talked, maybe. So that's a lot.
I think so. Yeah,
that's crazy.
So we are. We have given away over 1,600 diplomas in the last 3 years to Kidmin leaders or kids pastors that have successfully completed the requirements of the program. So it's a 12-month program. It's entirely online. We have a curriculum that we publish. So you get 12 textbooks throughout the year. We do online classes. We have a Facebook community. We have a student portal. It's been a really, really, really neat opportunity. So love Kidmin Academy. It's going well. And then, just lots of other fun, random stuff. Our I Love Kidmin Facebook group is doing well. I'm still doing a lot of speaking and traveling around and meeting folks. We're doing more meetups these days where we're going to cities. We'll be in Atlanta this next week doing a meetup. So we're doing 1 or 2 meetups a month just in cities across the U.S. where, hey, if you're within a couple-hour drive, and I do some training, we do some worship, we do some Q&A, we do lunch, give everybody a chance to get to know each other. I love what I do, Nick. I love the ministry at my church, and I love the kids that I get to minister to every Sunday. But I love working with these kids ministry leaders and the type of people who are listening to your podcast. So,
oh yeah, definitely. How about Kidmin Nation? Because even that website launched since we last spoke, I believe.
Yep.
So, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the Kidmin Nation is kind of the name of our conference. We call it Kidmin Nation MegaCon. Now we do have we call it an online conference as well. Yeah. So it's Kidmin Nation 365.
Okay.
So we have the conference part that happens in Nashville, and then we have Kidmin Nation 365, where every week we're doing workshops, or whatever you want to call them, deep dives, workshops, trainings, live sessions, resources in the mail, that kind of stuff. It's doing well. We're going into year 3, and it's been good.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking about, was the 365 part, because there's like the MegaCon conference, but then there's also the online thing, which is unique. Now with the conference, like you said, it's the 3rd year. I'd love to hear, like, what have you learned? What's in store for this year? I mean, pulling off a conference, no small task. And then you certainly learn things each year, I would imagine. So what have you learned, and like what's in store this year? I first of all, I've just been reminded of how awesome the Kidmin community is. These are great, great people. And they're great online. When we engage on Facebook and we encourage each other and interact, then you get everybody face to face. And these are some of the finest people on the planet, some of the most amazing people in the church. Are these people that are week to week are in the trenches with kids and families. So I just been reminded how awesome this community is. Also, it is a ton of work. You're right. It's a ton of work. You would think I've served on the board of conferences over my adult life. And even as a board member, I never really understood the work that goes into pulling off a 3-day conference. But it's a ton of work. So, and the unique thing about our conference is, Nick, it's super, super affordable. So when we first put tickets on sale, they're like $79. They go up to maybe 100 and a half, 150, 160. So it's a super affordable conference, which means we really wanted to do that. We did that intentionally. What it means is we don't have the revenue to hire a bunch of staff to help us pull the conference together. So most of our conference is organized by volunteers and ambassadors and people that are just, fans of Kids Matter and what we are doing and that believe in what we're trying to accomplish. And so it is largely driven by volunteers. We don't pay honorariums to our keynote speakers. We don't pay honorariums to our worship leaders. We just don't have the budget to do it because we want to make the conference as affordable as we can so people can bring their teams and get there. But it is a ton of work. So I've been reminded about that. And I've also learned that you learn a lot. Like, we screw up. We find things that we do every year. We're like, man, we can improve and get better. The key is to really listen in and lean in and learn from those mistakes and address them. But I think we're going to have a great year. I thought Conference 2 last fall was a good one. I really, in my gut, feel like
this October 1, 2, and 3 is going to be an amazing event. Not just because we're going to have a record number of attendees. And I got a report yesterday that we are like 98% sold out of our vendor space, and we added space from last year. So we have a ton of vendors and resource providers there. But we've got a great lineup of speakers that are going to be on the main stage, our deep dives, which are what we call like our workshops or breakouts. We've got a great lineup there. We're also giving away, this is fun. We always do this every year, but we're giving away a 2019 Ford Fusion this year. So every year we have a car sitting there when the people come in. Last year we gave away a 2018 Malibu. I decided this year to do a different brand and model just to shake it up. So this year we're doing a 2019 Ford Fusion. Nick, the keys will be there. I'll have the title there, and someone will leave with the keys and the title to that car. And anybody that shows up at the conference, you can drop your name in the hat. And then during the conference, we do special things where you can get additional names, in the hat, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And we draw, and somebody leaves with a car. So it's been fun to give away a car the last 3 years.
So
it's been pretty sweet.
And you're saying you park it in the church. So, I mean, that's got to be part of the conversation. Did you throw that in later? Hey, can you host our conference? Oh, yeah. By the way, we're going to drive a car in your building.
Oh, my gosh.
Put it in your auditorium or something.
Cool about it. Yeah. We park it in their foyer, which is a massive foyer. And then thankfully the church is cool. Yeah. They let us, when it's time to give away the car, we drive it into the auditorium, honk the horn, in the middle of this session, pull it right up front, get out, draw a name out of the trunk, and somebody wins.
That is funny.
So it's fun. So I love the conference. It's a lot of work, but it's super, super rewarding. And
anything unique or different for this year, or did you kind of hit that stride last year where, I mean, like you said, the layout is the same, the format, and some of that's kind of similar?
Yeah. One of the new things we're doing was pretty cool is we've always had a focus on preteen ministry, but we're actually going to create a whole preteen center. So we're taking the gymnasium of the church, and which they call it a student center, but it's really their gymnasium. We're taking the gymnasium, and it's all preteen. So all of our ministry partners that are preteen, like 456.org and Superstart and these different ministries that have resources for preteen ministry, they're all going to be headquartered there. All of the training for preteen ministry is going to happen there. We're going to have all these, I don't know, what is it, 9 Square, whatever that game is that these kids like to play. We're going to have all this Gaga ball. We're going to have all this stuff set up there and all the training. So we're going to have a preteen center, which I think is going to be really neat. It's going to kind of raise the bar for preteen ministry.
Yeah.
That's something.
Hot. That's a hot topic now. I mean, everybody's interested in how to uniquely reach them. Yeah, that's good.
It is. So we're turning over like 33% of our speakers are all new this year, not because the people last year did bad, but we just want to keep it fresh. So we're doing a new round of speakers and topics. Yeah. Cool.
That's awesome.
I think I hit the high points, but we'd love to have those of you who listen to the podcast, love to have you there. And our heart is, if the ticket price is a problem, let us know. We always, I think last year we gave away like 30 or 40 tickets to people that just said, hey, for whatever reason, the church doesn't have the budget, and we just, no questions asked, we'll send you tickets in the mail. If you can figure out how to get to Nashville, which most people can drive to Nashville, get there. We'll help you find a cheap hotel or Airbnb or room you with somebody. We'd love to have you there. KidminNation.com is that website. Yeah. Thanks for teeing me up to talk about that, Nick.
You bet. Yeah, I love hearing how that's gone, and it's just crazy that the last time we talked, it hadn't even launched yet. That just doesn't even seem.
It is crazy.
We were just talking about how the podcast is only about 3 years old, but you're coming up on your third one, so that's pretty cool. And we're going to hit a variety of other topics here, because when I asked you some things, hey, what could we talk about? You tossed out some ideas, and I was like, let's do all those. And the first one I'll bring up is trends in kids ministry. I get this question sometimes, and if I'm honest, I don't really know the answer. I don't have good answers, which is funny because I do feel like I'm connected to a lot of different people, a lot of different churches. I get to hear things on the podcast. But when people say, hey, what are some new trends in kid ministry? What's happening? A lot of times I have to really sit there and think about it. And I don't know if it's because sometimes in children's ministry, or really in any church ministry, trends get adopted slowly. So, in some, my answer sometimes might be something that some church was doing 8 years ago, but more churches are doing it now. You know what I mean? But what are you saying that's out there that's new?
Yeah, well, and I think you're right, Nick. People ask me that sometimes, like, what are trends? And I have to stop there and think, because I think at the end of the day, what we're wanting to do hasn't changed a whole lot. We're trying to reach kids with the gospel, and we're trying to build this foundation of faith in their life that will last a lifetime. We're trying to partner with parents, and there aren't a lot of huge, like, monumental trend changes, but I think sometimes on a macro level, when you get into the micro level, and there are some trends that you can identify. Now, the best place, Nick, I keep up with trends is in the I Love Kidmin Facebook group. So we've got 21,000 people are part of this Facebook group. I know you're part of it. It is a super, super, super engaged Facebook group. In fact, I freaked out like 6-8 months ago. I got on my phone and went to the I Love Kidmin Facebook group. And at the time we had like 21,000 people that were part of the Facebook group, and it said 19,500. And I thought, what happened? And I started freaking out. Did somebody accidentally delete a bunch of people in our Facebook group?
Everybody quit one day.
That's it. What happened? And we got digging into it. And I probably should have known, although I don't know if Facebook made an announcement, but they chose this one day to clean up Facebook groups, to remove unactive members in Facebook groups across the whole platform. And I ended up being really, really, really pumped, because of the 21,000 people who are part of the Facebook group, 19,400 of them were engaged people that Facebook thought, hey, these people are engaged in this group. So my point is, super highly engaged Facebook group.
That's really good percentage. Yeah, most groups
really
wouldn't
is.
be anywhere near that. Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
95% or whatever. Yeah.
Totally. So it was cool. So I love to keep my eye on the Facebook group and watch and listen. And it is where I really pick up the most, as a guy that I'm pastoring kids pastors Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The best place I can find out, what are they struggling with? What do kids pastors need? What are the heartaches? What are the hurdles? And then also, like, what's working well? What are new things people are trying? Is just to spend some time in the I Love Kidmin Facebook group every day and scroll and read and listen and read comments. So there are a few things. These are random. Here's a few things I've picked up over the last several months. I see more and more Kidmin leaders are not sticking with one curriculum. They're switching around, and not even because they're dissatisfied with the curriculum as much as they want to switch it up. They just want to switch it up. And even churches that have a denominational publishing house aren't being loyal to the denomination publishing house.
Yeah.
They are trying different things, and they may try something for 6 months and then move and do this for the summer, then do something for this quarter. And personally, they're probably flip sides of the coin. Part of me really loves that, because as a pastor, no senior pastor is going to say, okay, this is my 3-year. Maybe I shouldn't say no. I would think most senior pastors aren't going to have somebody feed them their 3 years worth of sermons, because my church, who knows what my church is going through and what the needs of my congregation are and what's surfacing. Yeah. And so I like it that with Kidmin leaders, they're trying to actually pick up on, hey, what are the needs of these kids? And maybe I need to adjust the curriculum accordingly. Flip side of the coin is, I think with kids, a curriculum is important, because the curriculum is your roadmap. And it is a way to help you make sure that A, B, C, D, E, F, and G are all getting covered in this amount of time. So there's flip sides of the coin, but it is a trend I see. Another trend I see, this isn't new in the last couple of months, but I would say in the last year or two, and that is a super, super, super heightened increase in security and safety precautions when it comes to kid ministry. Not just running background checks on volunteers, but even like, hey, are we really taking this check-in, check-out thing seriously? Do we have evacuation plans? Do we have a lockdown plan? A lot of churches have security teams, which is a great way for you to get dads involved if you are looking for a way to get your dads involved. And a lot of them are never going to step in front of a classroom with a teacher manual, but they will join a security team. So I've seen a lot more security team. Even churches are bringing in armed security people or an off-duty police officer or something just to be there. But increase in security. Speaking of security, here's another one that I'm not sure that I like, but it is a reality. And that is, I'm picking up on a growing fear of men serving in children's ministry. And I believe it's probably because that most sexual crimes are committed by men. And so there is a weariness about men being back with kids. And I hate that because, hey, I'm a guy. Nick, you're a guy. Some of the best volunteers in my church are guys. But I think with a lot of moms and a lot of churches, when they look at liability, like, man, is it smart for us to have kids back or men back here with the kids? Now, I think it's totally fine. I think you need to be screening everybody. You need to background check everybody, and you need to routinely background check everybody. Don't background check somebody and let a decade go by before you screen them again. Routinely check these people. And then you can be smart about this, Nick. Like, I would never put two men in a classroom together by themselves. Even if they're your best men, even if they have cleared a background check, a mom, especially a new mom, if she brings her kids to a class and there's two men, it's going to create some anxiety. Maybe not to all moms, but to some moms, that's going to seem a little weird. Yeah. So you got to do two adults in the room, and I would not do two men in the room. Yeah. So I think it's something for us just to be aware of, Nick, that there is an increasing fear of men serving in kids ministry. Well, you've probably seen
I see it all the time, and it comes up regularly. I don't know every other couple of weeks, where people ask about, do men change diapers in your nursery? And some churches have policy where they don't, some they do. And it's pretty funny because you see, there's just fierce debate about it, because there's people who are like, oh no, they absolutely should. There's others, they shouldn't. And I'm like an Enneagram 8 and a 5, like logical data stuff matters to me a lot. Yep. And if you told me, and I've seen this spoken about in justifying that policy, we don't have that policy, but I understand it, because if you just said, hey, without anything else, you could cut down on 98% of your abuse cases by this one decision, I would say, okay, because men, right? I think it's something like 96 or 98% of child abuse is done by men. And so I get why they do that, but that's just one example of where maybe it feeds into what you're talking about. You have that policy, and then there just is a growing sense of, we're afraid to have men serve. I could see that in there too. So it is hard. You really got to think through it.
Yeah, you do have to think through it. And I hate it. It's, we live in a sin-cursed world. Kids I think they need to see gender balance in the children's ministry leadership. These boys need some godly men in their lives, and parents want that. Part of the reason they're putting their kids in the children's ministry is because they need some help. And, even with traditional husband-wives, but especially like single moms, they need their kids to have some good men role models in their lives. Yeah. So,
well, and another question that comes up a lot too is, how do I recruit more men? And sometimes it's really hard, but part of the answer is having men to help recruit other men. You know what I mean? Like, you get a base of them, and then and that's how it's worked in our ministry. There's just a great culture of it already, but it's been there, so it's easier to recruit more men because there's already men serving, so they don't feel out of place.
Get those. You're right. Get those men recruiting other men. Look at, what am I recruiting them to do? Honestly, very few men. There are some, but I'd say it's very few, and it's not a put down to the ones that do. Very few men want to go back with little 3-year-olds and do crafts and snacks. Some do, and if you do, listen, that is not at all meant to be a put down or degrading. I think most guys, they're not there for whatever reason. So look at, what job am I asking them to do? There's a mentality in churches where children's ministry is a woman's job. And so how can I combat that in even the way the rooms are decorated? Hey, if it's very, very feminine, that's not going to attract men. So try to stay away from keeping it feminine. Look at the jobs you're asking them to do. Get men to recruit men. That's good. Start with areas where it's low friction or easy points of entry, like security teams we talked about earlier, or hey, we need a game director. Guys like to do games. Or hey, would you come back here and help us do this with these other guys, or help us set up teardown. That's a great way to get men introduced into children's ministry. Set up teardown. Here's another trend. Here's another trend I see, Nick. And that is that we are now, you and I were just at the Orange Conference. We saw each other a couple weeks ago. Love the Orange Conference, all about family ministry, partnering with parents. I think, though, today we are working with parents in the church who aren't really looking. There are a lot of parents in the church, good people, but they aren't really looking for help being Christian parents. This is a trend I pick up on.
Yeah,
okay.
I can see that.
In other words, they are comfortable. They aren't easily offended. Hey, my kids are doing okay. We hand our kids an iPad and we put them on kids' YouTube. And hey, as long as there's no bad words, it's all fine. Or as long as there's nothing too black or magic, it's just fine. And we aren't, I don't know, we aren't all that easily offended, and we're comfortable with our kids just being okay. And I don't know, I see more and more parents that they want their kids to be good kids, but do they really recognize the need to be intentional and have those spiritual conversations and help my kids develop those godly habits and disciplines in their life? Or do they not really realize they need help in that area? I don't know. I think that's a trend with some people. Maybe not everybody, maybe not every church, but.
No, I agree. I kind of see that. I mean, for the longest time, parenting was, hey, I mean, especially like if I think a lot of the parents I'm connected to at church, there's a humility of like, man, I'm not doing as well as I'd like to. And for them, they just need to know you're doing better than you think. But you're right. There is this other thing, and maybe it's social media, where it's like, no, I'm good. I'm not going to show any weakness publicly, especially, and even at church. Was it in the I Love Kidmin Facebook group where I saw, I think that's where it was, where I saw a leader posted a picture of a young child, like a young child's shirt, maybe a 2-year-old or something, 3-year-old. And the shirt was basically saying something about like, I'm not vaccinated because my mom has actually done the research. Something kind of offensive. You know what I mean? Like if you vaccinate your kid. And I thought that's probably a little bit of what you're talking about, where like, who cares where you land on the issue? There's like a funny arrogance on both sides of like, I'm not teachable. I can see that. I can see that.
Oh yeah. Yep. So here's, I think it's good as pastors, as Kidmin leaders, to keep your eye on, hey, what's trending, and even beyond. I think as kids pastors, we look at what's trending in children's ministry, but we also need to look at and help our volunteers look at just what's trending with kids themselves. And if I'm going to be an effective kid minister, I've got to know what's going on in the life and the world of kids. And you don't have to overthink it. Don't overthink it. Like to figure out what's trending with kids, just ask them like, hey, what kind of games do you kids like playing on recess? Hey, what kind of sports are you into right now? Hey, what do you like to watch on TV if you have free time at home? Hey, if I gave you $50 and you could go to Walmart and pick out a toy, what would you pick out? Hey, what's your favorite place to eat right now? Just asking those questions, kids will talk. And, staying in trend with what's going on with kids and families is super, super important. Yeah. Because when those kids know that what's important to them is important to me, then what's important to me is going to be important to them. If they really know that I really care about what's going on in their lives and I'm really interested and I am somewhat relevant, it can make a big difference for you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's change gears a little bit to summer. Summer's coming up. A lot of leaders listening to this are thinking about VBS or camp or something they got going on this summer, especially. And by the time this posts, so a lot of the country will be in summer. But what are some tips you think about to help leaders get through the summer slump that inevitably comes for most churches?
You remember, Nick, when you were a kid and summer was awesome, man. You could do whatever you wanted. You were on your own schedule.
Stay out late.
Then stay out late. Yeah, school's out. And then you become an adult. And then you become a parent. And then you become a Kidmin leader. And you're like, holy cow, summer is crazy. And it's busy. And a lot of times as a Kidmin leader, you're busier in the summer than you are any other time of the year. And then you look around, it's like, where's all my help? They're on vacation. They're over at the lakes. They're not, for whatever reason, they're having a pool party this Sunday and they can't make it. And so summer can be the best time of ministry in a children's ministry. It can also be very discouraging and hard. And so there are a few things. First of all, and if we're airing this in the summer, it's going to be a little late, but it's fine. Start as soon as you can. As soon as you listen, start as soon as you can. If we if I were talking to you in January, February, I would say start planning for summer now. Like start thinking about it now, start recruiting now, because if you don't get a head start, hey, the summer's already busy enough. So recruit who you can recruit ahead of time. Order what you can order ahead of time. Why would I wait unless the church has put pressure on me financially and won't let me order? Why would I wait till the summer to order my VBS stuff? It's already busy. There's a good chance if I wait till summer, they're going to be on back order of half the things I need. So order as much as you can early. Recruit whoever you can early. Start now. Do everything you can as soon as you can. That'd be one thing I'd say, Nick. Another thing is, since you're going to have volunteers on vacation, which is fine, I would look at building extra help during the summer, that people that don't help you during the school year. Now different churches do it different ways. Some churches have a summer team and then a school year team. Other churches like mine, it's a year round, like 365 team. And I don't know that there's a right way or a wrong way. But you do need to look at who's your summer team and who could you have help you in the summer that's not helping you during the school year. Now, if you live where I live in Indiana, or you live somewhere in the Midwest, or where it's cold in the winter, you've got snowbirds that are flying south to Texas or Florida or wherever in the summer or in the school year. Well, they're back in the summer. So summer's a great chance to use some snowbirds. Hey, know you're gone during the school year. And I know you love the kids and you want to, hey, can you join my team this summer? And here's all I need you to do. College students that are coming back for the summer, high schoolers that are busy during the summer, even people that tell you no during the school year might be more apt to tell you, yes, I'll help you for a week or for 3 Sundays in the summer.
Yeah.
School teachers that, you know what, they need a break during the school year. They're with kids every day. They love kids, but they need to be with adults on Sundays. Maybe they'll help you a little bit in the summer. That'd be another thought. Here's a final. So number one, I would start now. Number two, I would look at recruiting some extra summer help, summer team. And here's another one, and this could be a big one for a lot of your listeners, and that is to simplify. Simplify. How can I simplify in the summer? Now, if you do fundraisers, which I hate fundraisers, but if you have to do fundraisers, try not to do them in the summer. The summer's already crazy enough. So stay away from fundraisers in the summer. Hey, maybe instead of doing large group, small group in the summer, you just do large group because you don't need as many workers if you don't do small groups in the summer. Maybe you choose the summer to do a video series because it's going to be easier to prep. It's not going to require as many people. So I would look at your ministry, if you're going to survive the summer slump, and think, how can I simplify these things? People are already busy enough. Families are already busy. I'm already adding VBS or camp or whatever to the schedule. So on Sunday mornings and Wednesday nights, how can I simplify this thing? How can I get more help? And how can I start as soon as I can? A lot of times when we get stressed is when we procrastinate and when we put things off. And we procrastinate months in advance because we think we're too busy. And so I'll put it off. And then it comes crunch time and we end up getting sloppy when we delegate. Stuff gets put on back order. We get super stressed because we're already busy enough. And now I've got to add all this stuff to it. If you can learn to work in advance and work smart, man, it won't just help you in the summer, Nick. It'll help you all year long.
Yeah. Summer's a good recruitment for us. We did said, recruit just specifically for summer. And, and you can we can probably link on my site where I've shared some ideas about that. But like this coming Sunday, we have our summer team orientation, and that's what you sign up for, you know? And I just think, we get teachers who don't want to serve with kids during the school year because they're with them all week, but they'll do summer. And then, we get people who do every summer. We get a lot of people, which is why we keep doing it. It's their first time serving anywhere. And it seems easy and safe because it's like, okay, it's just for summer. There's an orientation. You're going to train me. If I don't like it or if it's not a fit, it's just summer. So it's been really good for us. I've heard other leaders say not as good for them, but man, it's been really good for us. That's some good wisdom.
That's
there.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Yeah.
Well, let's end with this one, and I'm sure you get this question a lot, which is like, how do you do everything you do? So, like, how do you get it all done? How do you manage your time? How do you stay productive? We're kind of similar that we love to have, you and I both love to be in a bunch of different things and start things, and you know what I mean? But you can only do so much. How do you keep all those plates spinning and manage your time and do it well? And that's certainly true in ministry too. So we'll learn from what you do.
Yeah, you know what? It is hard. It is, I think, as a children's ministry leader, you are spinning a lot of plates, and you add to your church responsibilities. A lot of you have a 9-to-5 job outside of the church, so you've got ministry plates you're spinning, work plates that you're spinning. You've got a marriage, you've got kids. You try to do some hobbies. You try to create some margin in your life. And how do I keep it all going? Here's what I have found. It is as simple as getting organized. Now, I said it's simple, but it's not simple for everybody. I understand some people are born more organized than others, but whether you are born organized or whether you feel like you are not born organized, we can all grow and get better organized. Okay. We can get better organized. So for me, Nick, a lot of it, how do I keep all these plates spinning and do everything that I'm doing? It's getting organized, which a lot of getting organized for me is setting priorities. So I plan my week and I plan my day, and I've done this religiously for years, and it is a game changer for me. So I almost every week, Nick, I'll sit down on Sunday night and I'll plan my week. So what are the big things I need to do this week? What's my week look like? When do I think I can get this stuff done? Now, we all know in ministry, things come up, right? As a pastor, all it takes is one phone call, one knock on the door, your pastor walking into your office, somebody's died, somebody's in the hospital, there's an emergency, your pastor needs you to do this. You're surprised to find out this didn't get done and now it's back on your plate. So things happen, but having a plan makes a huge difference. So I always encourage people, plan your week and plan your week early in the week and then plan your day. So I religiously plan my day, and I do this first thing every morning before I check my email, before I get on Facebook, before I turn on my computer. I talk about this a lot, eating the frog first. Mark Twain said, if you eat a live frog first thing every morning, nothing worse will happen to you the rest of the day. Now, his point is you do the most undesirable things first, the things that you might naturally not do. And then after that, everything gets better. So for me, I would be tempted if I did what I wanted to do. I would sit down in the morning. I would start checking my email. I would get on Facebook. I would scroll through Instagram. I would look through Snapchat. I would listen to a podcast. But instead, I'd choose to eat the frog first, which means I'm going to do the most important thing in my life first. Now, for me, when it comes to being productive and getting things done, it is planning my week. And then every day, first thing, planning my day. So here's what my today looks like. Let me take these Post-it notes off. So every day I print one of these things off. I'm showing you this, Nick, and this isn't a video. This is a podcast. So I don't know why I just held it up to the camera.
It's all good, but I can see it. Have you given this away? Have you given this away?
I have.
That's what I thought. Okay,
yeah. So every day I write down what are my priorities for the day. What are the priorities? What are things I have to get done today, no matter what, in air quotation marks, because again, things come up. But what are 5 or 6 things I have to do today, no matter what? And then next, people. Who are people I need to talk to today? Who are people that I need to reach out to by email or phone, or I need to see them? Once I get the priorities done, and once I get those people talked to, I move to the bottom of my sheet where I have projects. So what are some things I can do to move some projects forward? And this literally becomes my Bible for the day. And this is what guides my day. And I choose to only get on my email like twice a day. I only choose to get on Facebook like twice a day because I'm committed to doing the important things in my life. And this is what allows me to get the important things done. Otherwise, you find yourself in this rat race of doing what we call the tyranny of the urgent. All these urgent things, your phone beeps, your email chirps, your Facebook Messenger goes off. You're tempted to go check and watch these YouTube videos over here. And you do all this stuff, only at the end of the day, we're always like, man, what did I really get done? So you've got to get organized. And for me, doing this productivity sheet, and I've actually turned this into a resource at Kids Matter. It's like an 8-page productivity playbook where I help you lay out your goals for the month, your goals for the week, your goal for the day. I give you a sheet where I want you to have margin in your life to think, dream, and create, which is one of the reasons why you need to get organized. Because one of the greatest assets you bring to your pastor, one of the greatest assets you bring to your church is your ability to think, dream, and create. It's not your ability to check email and to post on Facebook and to buy crafts and to make to make Costco runs. Anybody can go to Costco. Where you bring the greatest asset to your pastor is when you show up and you are solution focused and you have ideas and you come to the table with new ideas and you're ready to solve problems. But you can't do that without margin. And you can't do that if you are so busy running here, there, there, and you're not putting a team around you, so that you do focus on those important things of your life. So here's the thing, Nick, it's simple, but it's not easy. It's as simple as every day choosing what your priorities are and who are the people you need to talk to and what are some things you can do to move important projects forward. It's that simple, but it's not easy because you are going to be distracted. You are going to be tempted to work on other things, to jump on YouTube, to spend too much time on Pinterest and all this kind of stuff. But it is hugely, hugely, hugely important. So that's my big.
That's your big tip. I have one more question for you about that. I started using the Michael Hyde's full focus planner thing. It's basically the same kind of thing with a daily, weekly. It has goals in the beginning. I don't use every little bit of it. Like he puts some things in there that I don't really use. But it's kind of like you said. I think in some ways the most helpful part to me is just identifying at the very top what are the most important things. Like in his planner, it's 3 things. You said 4 or 5 or whatever. And like I can get through a day where if I do those 3 things and get nothing else done for some reason, I feel so much better than a day where I may have accomplished 11 tasks, but like nothing was major. Like nothing really moved anything forward. It was really just email and this task and go do this and do that. So, I mean, that's been helpful for me too.
And Nick, a key is, I loved hearing that. A key is remember I shared the Mark Twain quote, eat a live frog first thing in the morning. Mm-hmm. Nothing worse is going to happen the rest of the day. So when you are building your tasks or your to-do list, you do the most difficult things first, right? Mm-hmm. And then everything gets easier because otherwise what happens is you'll look at your to-do list and you'll do the funnest things first, the easiest things first, the most enjoyable tasks first. And then it'll get to be about 12, 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You start getting tired and you're like, ugh, I think I'll put that off until tomorrow. Yeah. So do the most dreaded, the most difficult, the most draining task first thing, which is smarter anyway, because your brain functions best the first couple hours of the day. So this is why on a practical level, do those difficult tasks first, save email for later on. Unless you do customer support as your job when you're hired to do email, save email for later on, save Facebook for later on. If there are meetings that you need to schedule with people, try to schedule those later on so that those first few hours of the day, you are the sharpest, you're thinking the best, you're working on those big projects. And hey, it is, and Nick, like you just said, is very rewarding when you actually get stuff done and not just little tedious things that anybody can do, but those big things that actually propel your life forward and move your ministry forward and get those monkeys off your back. I think if I looked at most people's to-do lists, I would find a decent amount of things that have been on there for over a month that really, if you just ate the frog first, you just thought, I'm just going to punch through one of these each day and it's not going to be enjoyable, but I'm going to do it. All of a sudden, those monkeys would be off your back. Yeah. And you'd feel all this freedom to think, dream, and create, which is one of the greatest assets you have.
So real quick question, because I always love to dig in a little bit to like how leaders manage their time and stuff. Do you calendar all your work or do you just use your calendar for meetings? You know, like I know people who
Yeah,
block all their time. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
if I'm working on that, I'm putting it on the calendar. Do you do that or no?
I don't do that. I use my calendar for meetings and reminders, but I don't block. Now I do, I block, let me say that, but I don't block it. I don't put it on my calendar.
Mm-hmm.
So I like working in blocks and focusing on one thing at a time, which is smart. That's a whole nother discussion.
Yeah, that is.
That we could have a training on multitasking, because we think we're multitaskers, but the truth is we're not. Your brain was never created to multitask. That word multitasking was invented like in the 1960s by IBM to talk about how computers can do more than one thing at once. We like to think we're multitasking, but we don't. When you multitask, really what you're doing, it's impossible for your brain to do these 3 or 4 things at one time. So when you say you're multitasking, really what you're doing is you're switching from this task to this task to this task to this task to this task. And every time you have to shut down startup, you not only lose time, you lose brain energy and synergy. So you're better to work in blocks of time on certain things at a time. And you don't have to overthink it like I've got to find things to fill like exact 20-minute blocks. I would just look at your to-do list and be like, okay, today I need to work on my lesson for this. I'm going to block 30 minutes, boom, and do it. And if it takes 20, great. If it takes 45, great. You got that done. Okay, next. And I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to turn my notifications off. I'm going to shut the lid on my computer. I'm going to grind and hustle, and I'm going to get that done. Boom. You cross it off your list. You start multitasking. You get to the end of the day, you're like, man, I was busy, but none of this stuff really got done. So,
I use my calendar to block off, but not as much, especially since I've been using this planner more. I'll block off, but it's only really big sections. If it's like 3 hours, 5 hours, I'm going to work on this one project, I'll block that off for sure. So I don't like put other little things in there. But other than that, I do like you do. I just lean on my plan for the day and just try to focus on that. But that's been good. Well, that's helpful because I know you got a lot going on too. So do leaders. I always joke, but it's not really a joke. If you lead in children's ministry or student ministry, it's like you're leading a small church because it has all of the other elements of a whole church, just, with your ministry, with kids and students. I mean, it's got everything. And usually you don't have, some people do, but most people don't have multiple staff that are doing the different areas. You're kind of the generalist and the specialist, so got a lot of things going on. That's good. Yep. Cool. Well, that was fun. I liked hitting a few different topics, hearing an update about Kidmin Nation, MegaCon 365, all that. And we'll link to all that in the show notes. But how can people connect with you?
Thanks, Nick. Yeah, thanks, Nick. Hey, I'd love to connect with you. If you go to ryanfrank.com, you'll see all the links to all the organizations I work with. You can get links to, I'm doing a daily podcast, a daily YouTube channel, on Snapchat every day, Instagram every day, Facebook every day. All those links are at ryanfrank.com. You can also get a link to my blog and video blog where there's new content every day. And I've got something new. If you go to ryanfrank.com at the top, you can join my insider list. This is my text list. So I have a couple thousand Kidmin leaders that get text messages from me every couple days with just a word of encouragement, a shot in the arm, a link to something cool that I found. So if you want to join that insider list, but all those links, Nick, are at ryanfrank.com. Love to stay connected.
Yeah, we'll link to that too in the show notes. Well, thanks for coming on the podcast again. Keep up the great work, resourcing leaders. I mean, that's one thing that I love as a leader is that other organizations and people like you are out there creating things that'll help me that I don't have time to create. So I love that. So yeah, keep that up.
And thank you, Nick. Keep the podcast going. I love it. I send a lot of people your way. Keep it up.
All right. It's good talking. Thanks, Ryan.
Hey, you too, Nick.
Well, it was fun to catch up with Ryan. Hadn't talked to him in a long time. I thought his trends that he's seen in kids ministry were kind of spot on. Maximizing summer, that's not something we usually think about, but that was really helpful. Here are a few action items I think of coming out of that episode. 1, get a planner and plan your week. That alone will make you so much more productive. I know for me, I love using, like I mentioned, the Michael Hyatt planner that's called Full Focus Planner. And you can get that, online, just search Full Focus Planner. And just knowing that, hey, here are the big 3 things I need to accomplish today. That part's huge for me. There's lots of days where that's all I get done, but it still feels like I was very productive. And of course, there's meetings and other things like that take your time. I think another action item is this summer team angle. If you lead in children's ministry, summer's a great time. You can maximize summer like Ryan talked about. You can recruit more volunteers. It's not too late for many of you to recruit a summer team of volunteers. And we'll link in the show notes where you can kind of get a replay of the webinar that we did and the resources that we shared for that. You'll love that. That'll be helpful. It has been a great recruitment for us. And then third, check out Kidmin Nation. Check out MegaCon coming up in the fall. Even Kidmin Nation, the website didn't exist before last time we had Ryan on the podcast. So check that out. See if that'll be helpful for you and your ministry. And then as I mentioned in the beginning, it's the last week to sign up for Ministry Boost courses and get all these bonuses. And you can do that at ministryboost.org. Thanks for listening. Thanks for rating, reviewing the podcast, all that. As usual, I hope it was helpful in a way that you could take and apply to your ministry, work on it, improve it, make it better, maybe grow your own leadership. All of that, I hope, has been helpful. I hope it's helpful every week. But thank you for listening. I appreciate that. I hope you have a great week, and I'll catch you next time on the Family Ministry Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the Nick Blevins Family Ministry Podcast. We hope this helps you maximize your church's potential. We would love to hear stories of how you apply what you've learned. You can do that by leaving a comment on iTunes or in the show notes at nickblevins.com.